All right, folks, what's going on? Welcome. Welcome to the graveyard shift in the wee hours of the night where the coffee pot is always on. And if we run out, we'll just make more. Is it Friday yet? Goodness gracious. No, we've got one more day to go. A couple more days to go. So let's just keep on going and let's get right into it, okay? The answer to the previous trivia question was none other than the great Greek philosopher Socrates. This is a great trivia question because there's like three different answers that you could easily have come up with. Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, right? All from the great Greek philosophical era. This is considered one of the most famous trials in history, that of Socrates, right? The great Greek philosopher, like I was saying, has occurred in 399 BC, where he was tried and found guilty of impiety and, of course, corrupting the young. He was subsequently sentenced to death and then required to carry out his own execution by consuming a deadly potion of the poisonous plant hemlock. How do you like that? Huh? My goodness gracious. Now, over the years, you may remember from your high school history class, the trial and death of Socrates has been portrayed as a travesty in which the founding father of Western thought was made to face trumped-up charges invented by his ignorant and unknowing fellow citizens in a democracy that was simply run afoul by mob rules mentality and corruption, caught up in nothing more than the political status quo, right? So that's the whole vibe and bottom line that we grew up with. In our history, Socrates was a victim of sorts who was set up by a prejudiced group of leaders who rid themselves of one of the greatest thinkers and philosophers of our time, a famous and historic miscarriage of justice, that of the trial of Socrates. This poor guy, oh my goodness. And what also went down in history with just as much historical significance, Socrates openly criticized prominent Athenian politicians through a process of cooperative, argumentative dialogue between individuals. This became known, and still is today, as the Socratic method, right? That was little inclinations of that were thrown into the trivia question as well. And this made him many enemies, to say the very least. This led to his charges, led to his trial, eventually led to his death. He was considered a threat to power and control by all means, and an unfortunate victim of a vicious political vendetta. And he was an overall scapegoat. This is the story, once again, that we grew up with. Remember reading Plato's Apology, right? I also threw that in there as a hint in the trivia question. Again, in your high school history class, poor Socrates. He was a victim. However, not so fast. Today, as the years have gone by, there are prevalent arguments that indicate that the trial and subsequent death of Socrates was really a legitimate case of democracy in action. The theory being that although the history we grew up with, where charges against Socrates that he faced seemed ridiculous in ancient Athens at the time, and when truly applying that form and thought of democracy, sentencing Socrates to death was felt to be genuinely serve the communal good, if you would. Okay, the argument goes that it wasn't a democracy of sorts that we know and that we've grown up with in America, and that based on our history, it was Athenian democracy, Greek philosophy, and to have theorized and to have applied his death in this manner was actually just. So say the arguments today. So there's some kind of really good debate going back and forth. So what say you? What do you think about this new theory about the trial of Socrates? With all the debates, I can assure you of one thing. With all the debates that have raged over the years on this issue, Socrates himself would have been very proud indeed. All right, folks, let's keep on going. Let's get through Thursdays and we can get to Friday so we can get to the weekend. Let's, like I said, have another cup of coffee, put both feet on the ground, and keep on going. Let's start the day with a brand new trivia question for February 16th on this day. In 1968, the good old 60s, before it became a national standard, the very first of these was made in the town of Haleyville, Alabama, by Representative Rankin Fite to a U.S. congressman named Tom Bevel. And this was just to test it out, folks. It wasn't an actual emergency. Good luck. You guys have a great day. Thanks for all you do. You guys are awesome. That's all there is to it. Peace out.